Are we ever actually going to get to the end of this, Aaron?
I don't think so. I mean, your own channel, earlier this month? No. Yes, earlier this month, reported that 70% of the homes on a particular site which had been gushed over by Saul Braverman had actually been sold. You have to presume that's because those in Rwanda, particularly Paul Kagame, the leader of that country, recognise this won't happen, and if it is on the statute books, it's hard to see it being implemented in any meaningful sense before the general election. I suppose the bet from the Conservative Party and their supporters will be, well, look, if we can just get several hundred people over there, symbolically that's a big win ahead of the next general election. We can show there's almost like a prototype of how we want to create this deterrent. That may be something of a game changer, but I think if you end up with 20, 30 people over there, it's going to look kind of ridiculous. So if I was a betting person, I would say they probably will get some people over there, but not enough for it to make a real political difference.
I think they will. There's tremendous sort of, shallow political games going on here. There was talk earlier today that Rishi Sunak was maybe going to do a press conference tomorrow or the following day. The Labour Party now wants to try to stop the Prime Minister having his little press conference, so that's part of what's going on here. And there's another game going on, which is that the Labour Party is understood to be keen to throw up a political story which would obscure the Angela Rayner story, which is gaining legs at the moment. So there's some sort of, those are some of the political shenanigans there. But the really strikes me as a very discreditable thing here is that the House of Lords, it strikes me, is basically helping the people smugglers. And that, to me, is a bad look for the House of Lords. And it makes some people, I would include myself in this, think, let's get rid of the House of Lords. And Keir Starmer was going to get rid of the House of Lords, but I think he may have changed his view now.
I was at an airport the other day, queuing in a very long queue for passport control, and all the border force people were stood there, massive queue. And I just thought, this is all a little bit of a farce, really, because you're checking all of our documents, seeing who's coming in and whatever. Whereas actually, people can just get on these dinghies, enter the country illegally. No one has a clue who they are. Half of them get rid of, maybe not half, but lots of them get rid of their documents. And it made me quite angry, actually, because I thought that what's happening now is a dereliction of duty from the government. I think that one of your primary responsibilities as the government is to keep your civilians safe and also enforce your borders, protect your borders. And when you've got a situation now where you've got, I think it's 6,000 odd people this year alone, nearly 30% up on this point last year, it's out of control. £15 million a day now being spent housing these people in hotels. That £8 million a day figure, by the way, long gone, everyone.
Well, that's why they're trying to do this bill.
Yeah, no, but this bill, you see, I used to think, yeah, this is a deterrent. No, I think that the ship has sailed, pardon the pun. What I think needs to happen now is a national emergency needs to be called. This is a national emergency. I think that you need to enlist the military to protect the borders.
Well, they tried that.
Who tried it?
I think it will still be a deterrent.
Who tried it?
I mean, the armed forces were involved at some point and then decided
But don't you
that
think
actually,
this is a national emergency now?
I agree. I think it's
a day.
absolutely disgraceful, but I still think it will be a deterrent.
Do you?
Yes.
See, I was in your camp, but I'm not anymore because I just think.
Well, understandably, you have become dismayed by the gumming up by the House of Lords people playing their games. I mean, it's a really irritating and frustrating business.
I'm more than dismayed. I'm pretty damn disgusted, actually.
Yeah,
that
no,
people
I agree
can
with you.
breach the border repeatedly in this way and then at the cost of the taxpayers be put up in hotels and all the rest of it.
Michelle, we are as one.
I think, I suspect I won't be as one with you, Aaron, because I think it's time to consider genuinely pushing back these boats, making it absolutely rock solid clear you will not cross into this water. It's not going to happen.
Well, I think the issue of the European Convention on Human Rights comes back there. And again, it goes back to the fact that the Conservatives repeatedly, over various leaderships...
You don't have a right to illegally breach a border.
Well, no, but I'm saying there are certain conventions and treaties that we've signed up to, and of course you can make the argument we should leave them. Some people are making that argument. But I think where there's been misrepresentation and distortion from the Conservative side is they've said we can action a certain kind of policy with regards to refugees, which quite simply isn't possible if you're in the ECHR. I imagine it's probably not possible if you have the Supreme Court. But for some reason, we've had many, many years of consecutive Home Secretaries pretending otherwise. I suspect because getting rid of the Supreme Court, that venerable institution first established in 2009, I suspect because getting rid of that and moving around with various treaties and whatnot will be very hard work. And if you want to get on the multinational gravy train of the IMF, the WTO, OECD, Davos after you leave office, you won't be very popular. So I think there has been a lack of honesty on the behalf of the Conservative Party for a very long time towards their voters about precisely what it would take to do some of the things you're talking about.
Yeah, I believe that all countries have the right to protect their borders. It's a basic right for the countries. What I think there is now is an absolute lack of political will to actually have the chops either to explore this properly or to start putting steps in place to move towards that direction.
The judges don't agree with you, Michelle. The
Which
judges are not in your camp.
Well, I bet some of them would be. Has this ever been put?
They won't be.
Has this ever been put? Because I actually don't, and maybe I'm wrong, and you will be more knowledgeable perhaps than what I am, but has this ever been put forward and say, right, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We are going to start defending, we're going to declare a national emergency, we're going to start defending our waters, our boundaries, our borders, our territory.
Look what the Supreme Court did to the last Rwanda effort, which was passed by Parliament, and the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that because we're going to take a United Nations opinion on the safety of Rwanda.